everyone. Welcome to 2025. So today we're going to work on sort of a continuation of the last video I put out, which is going to take that back extension even deeper. And there really is no limit to how much back extension we should have, particularly as horse riders. So of course we need a really strong, deep transversus to stabilize our lower abdomen, but equally important, in my opinion, is our upper and middle back, because that is going to counteract the strength here. And so the idea is we're between two planes of glass. So what you're going to need for this exercise is a yoga block, plain old yoga block, possibly a second one if it's sitting on the floor is too much for your hips, and some hand weights, 1, 2, not heavier than 3 pounds. So you also need a wall. So you're going to sit up against this wall, kind of be as far away as you need to be so that you're comfortable. And you want to sit a little tiny bit behind those seat bones. And then you're going to take your yoga block lengthwise and put it behind you. You can see it's behind me here, right in between your shoulder blades. So, and about, down to here. So you're just going to be here. It should be pretty intense. I'm really working hard to keep myself upright, and just breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. As you're here, feel those seat bones into the ground. Feel your feet flat into the ground, and feel your shoulders wide and down. It might take a little bit for your central nervous system to catch up and realize that this amount of opening is possible. As you're here, think about feeling as much of your back in between your shoulder blades on that block. Feel the top of the block, the middle of the block, and the bottom of the block. Always thinking up and open, or up and back. None of this, no rounding. Another idea is, depending on your anatomy, I'm able to squeeze this block with my shoulder blades. So I'm squeezing, 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 and being up. Squeezing and up. Squeezing and up. These upper back muscles, your trapezius, your upper, middle, and lower, as well as your serratus, they are so important for keeping our upright posture. It's not just a strong belly. You need a strong back as well. Another way of thinking about why we need a strong mid-back is that's kind of how we hold our reins. It's certainly our arms are involved, but we don't want to pull. We want to hold and have those reins securely. And the best way to do that is through our back. That allows us to have a soft following elbow, because an anchor point, if you will, is between our shoulder blades. So now you're going to take those hand weights, and you can do this without hand weights. You really don't need to use weights. I'm gonna internally rotate my hips. That is not easy for me. Hold your hand weights with your upper arm and your elbows at your side, and just breathe here. So if you've got some weight in your hands, you might feel that this is a fair bit of work. I know I do. So that gives you an idea of being upright in the saddle, carrying our bodies, if you will, and carrying our reins should be work. It's not an easy thing to do. So now we're going to just do some shoulder lifts. Super slow. And as you're doing this, think about how your back feels against that yoga block. Keep as much of your back against that yoga block as you can. And just notice how the scapulae interact with your rib cage. Two more. Now we're going to alternate. Actually, we're just going to do a few on the right. And see if you can feel that trapezius kicking in on your back. This is significant effort for me to maintain my pelvis and maintain my full back against that yoga block. And let's change. You might find one side easier than the next, or you may feel like it's more work from one side to the next to keep your back into that yoga block. Two more. And bring those down. Resituate yourself. If you can push your pelvis back towards the wall a little bit more, that might even get deeper in to that extension in your mid back. Bring your arms out to the side. If you can get any part of your arm against the wall while keeping your full back on that yoga block, it can be illuminating. Hands together, and then open them wide. Together, wide. Together, wide. Really take your time, no shrugging your shoulders to get those arms back. Drawing up with the pubic bone, connecting our hip bones, ideally. And open. The idea of keeping your head and chin behind your shoulders is also helpful. You don't want any of this in order to open here. That's not correct. Everything has to be up and open. Two more. And take a rest. I'm going to bend those knees up. Might be helpful to use your hands underneath. Feet are flat on the floor. This is a little bit more intense. If you need to scoot your pelvis away from the wall, that's perfectly fine. Think open. there should be mild work in your low belly just to support your lumbar spine while we're getting this extension. Pull those feet in. That might make it a little more intense. Pick up your hand weights, forearm and elbow into the rib cage. We're going to make the shape of a Y. This should be intense. Head and neck and chin back behind our shoulders. I wouldn't recommend going higher than 3 pounds with your hand weights. This is not a real strength move, more so it's an awareness move. 2 more. Keeping that whole upper back into that yoga block. And take the weights down. And just breathe. Think, can you push your spine into that block more without scooping your pelvis? So staying up on those seat bones. Squeeze that yoga block with your shoulders and release, squeeze and release, squeeze and release, squeeze, squeeze. Now see my ribs? Try and not let the ribs flare as you squeeze that block. So none of that. All of this stays put together. It's just the back, upper back muscles that we're trying to find. If we can't find these muscles, which many people can't, how are we going to possibly articulate them and make them stronger? So the whole point of this exercise is it helps you to find these muscles that we totally ignore because we can't see them. And now straighten your right foot and your left foot. Put your chin to your chest, bend forward slightly, take the yoga block out. Sit back up against the wall, cross-legged. Feel that spine against the wall, especially that area behind our shoulder blades. And breathe. Come off the wall. We're gonna roll down just for a counter bend, chin to chest, hands on the floor and slide them forward. This should feel awesome in your hips and your back. Press into those palms. And now restack that spine one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow. And your head is last. Spend some time with that. It should really help.